I have been married to my wife, Sarah, for just over 10 years. We've had what I would describe as a generally happy marriage. We've been through a lot together, from the excitement of starting our family to navigating the everyday struggles that come with work, kids, and maintaining a relationship. We've always managed to find common ground, or at least compromise, on the big issues. We have two wonderful kids, Emily and Jacob. They're the light of my life, and watching them grow has been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my existence. Like most parents, we want the best for them. And when the pandemic hit, everything changed. I'm sure you all remember the chaos of those first few weeks work from home, managing household tasks, and suddenly becoming full-time teachers to our kids. I was under immense stress, and so was Sarah. The kids were confused and upset by the sudden changes, but we did our best to help them adjust. In those early days, Sarah stepped up in a big way. She took the lead with the homeschooling while I worked, and she threw herself into it. She organized lesson plans, set up activities, and really worked hard to ensure that the kids weren't falling behind. I have to give her credit, she was amazing at it. The kids thrived under her guidance, and it seemed like, despite the world crumbling outside, we had managed to create a stable environment for them. However, once things started to calm down and schools began reopening, I was eager for the kids to return to a more normal life. They had been isolated for so long, missing out on seeing their friends, participating in extracurricular activities, and just being kids. It was especially hard on Emily, who was very social before the pandemic. She kept talking about how much she missed her friends, her teachers, and even recess. Jacob, who was younger and had only experienced kindergarten virtually, was excited about finally going to school in person. I assumed Sarah would feel the same way, that she would be relieved to have some of the pressure taken off. I was ready to get the kids back into school, return to work more fully, and try to restore some semblance of our old life. That's when Sarah hit me with her plan. She wanted to homeschool the kids permanently. At first, I thought she was joking. Homeschool? For the rest of their education? We'd never even talked about that before. Sarah explained that during the pandemic, she had come to love the idea of homeschooling. She felt she could give the kids a better education than they would get in the public school system. She talked about how she could tailor the curriculum to their needs, how she could focus on subjects that mattered, and how they'd avoid all the distractions and pitfalls of a traditional school environment. She also had a long list of concerns about public schools. She worried about the quality of education, the growing class sizes, and the overworked teachers. She didn't like the idea of the kids being exposed to bad influences or bullying, which she was convinced would happen. She brought up school shootings and safety concerns, and she was adamant that homeschooling was the only way to protect them from all these potential dangers. Now, don't get me wrong, I get where she was coming from. I know Sarah loves our kids more than anything, and she wants to give them the best possible upbringing. But I wasn't sold on homeschooling. I didn't have the same faith in our ability to provide a full and well-rounded education at home. It's not just about academics, there's so much more to school. It's about learning how to interact with other people, building relationships, learning independence, and frankly, getting a break from us as their parents. I was worried that keeping them home all the time would stifle their social development and rob them of the chance to make lifelong friends and have experiences we simply couldn't replicate at home. This started a debate that went on for weeks. Every time I thought we were getting close to a compromise, Sarah would double down on homeschooling. I suggested hybrid schooling, private schools, or even specialized programs that combine both at-home learning and time in a classroom setting. But nothing I suggested seemed to convince her. In her mind, homeschooling was the only way forward, and she was so passionate about it that I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells around the topic. One night we had a particularly intense argument. Sarah accused me of not trusting her abilities as a mother and an educator. She said that if I really cared about what was best for the kids, I would see that public school was a broken system. She made it sound like I was choosing convenience and my own comfort over our children's well-being. I'll admit that hurt. I've always supported her in everything, but this felt like an unfair accusation. The conversation ended with both of us going to bed angry, and I remember lying there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like there was no good way to resolve this. But here's where I might have really messed up. In the weeks following that argument, I started thinking about how to solve this problem without escalating things any further. I didn't want to have another blowout fight, but I also felt strongly that the kids needed to be back in school. That's when I made the decision to secretly enroll them in public school. I know it sounds bad, believe me, I'm not proud of it. But I genuinely believe that if Sarah could see the benefits of public school for herself, she would come around. My plan was to enroll them, take them to school after Sarah left for her morning workouts, and pick them up before she got back in the afternoons. I'd handle all the paperwork, teacher meetings, and school communication on my own. The kids were thrilled when I told them, especially Emily, who had been counting the days until she could see her friends again. For the first few weeks, everything went according to plan. The kids were happy and thriving. Emily was back to her old, social self, and Jacob loved the experience of being in a classroom. Their teachers had nothing but positive things to say about them, and I felt like I had made the right decision. I was hoping that eventually I could slowly introduce the idea to Sarah and show her how well it was going. But of course, secrets like this don't stay hidden forever. Last week, everything blew up in my face. Sarah had gone to visit a friend who lived near the school and spotted me dropping the kids off. She immediately called me, demanding to know what was going on. I tried to play it cool, saying we could talk when I got home, but by the time I walked through the door, she was waiting for me, furious. The fight that followed was probably the worst one we've ever had. Sarah felt completely betrayed. She said I had gone behind her back, undermined her authority, and made a huge decision about our kids without consulting her. She said I had lied to her, and she was right, I had. She also accused me of trying to fix things in a way that completely disregarded her opinions and feelings. I tried to explain that it wasn't about her, that I had done what I thought was best for the kids. But she wasn't hearing it. To her, this was about trust, and I had broken it. Now, we're in a stalemate. Sarah wants to pull the kids out of school and resume homeschooling immediately, but the kids are upset because they've settled into their new routine and don't want to leave their friends behind. I'm stuck in the middle, feeling like I've destroyed our trust while still believing that public school is the better option for our family. So, am I the asshole here? Did I cross a line by secretly enrolling the kids in school? Or was I justified in doing what I thought was best for them? I know I handled this badly, but I can't shake the feeling that public school is the right choice, and I don't know how to move forward without making things even worse.